Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be making a cozy fall sweater. And if you're like me, you're excited for sweater weather. Even in the summer, I'm always caught in a sweater. I'm just a cold person apparently. So we're going to be using a weight 3 yarn, a 6mm hook, your scissors, you're going to need a darning needle or yarning needle, and probably a measuring tape. If you're making this pattern with a different weight of yarn and a different size hook, I will have the measurements on how long you're going to want each thing to be. So let's start on our front panel. Oh yeah, okay, I get to go digging in here. Alright, so of course we're gonna start with our slip knot. Pet hair. I'm making a large, or I guess a baggy sized sweater, so it's gonna be about 20 inches wide for the front and back panel. I know from my first one I did that it takes 70 chains, but again, if you're using a different size yarn or hook, you're gonna want to measure and make sure you're getting the right size. Okay, so I've got 70. Now I'm going to place a double crochet in this third one from the hook, so 1, 2, so we'll double crochet there. And then I'm just going to double crochet all the way down this chain. Alright, last chain here. Let's turn our work. We are going to single crochet, chain 1. I'm gonna skip 1 stitch, and then I'm gonna place 2 double crochets in this one. Then I'm going to skip a stitch and place 2. We'll skip 1, place 2, and we're gonna repeat this until we get to the end of this row. I'm going to place a double crochet into this chain here. Now I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 3 and then place a double crochet in this space, so that'll count as our 2 double crochets. Then we're going to go right into the next space and do 2 more. And we're just going to do this in each space. And it's pretty much what the pattern is going to be all the way up. You just want to make sure when you get to your ends you're alternating. So this one I started off with my cluster of 2, so I want to end it off with just the 1 double crochet like I did the row below. So I started this last row with just one double crochet, so we'll go into the space and do 2, and then we're gonna chain 3, turn our work, and place 2 double crochets into this next space. And we're just gonna keep repeating this until you have it the length that you want, or the length that I have in the description below. And then I'll meet you back here to do our shoulder parts. After we've made our front panel long enough, we're gonna start working on the shoulder part that's gonna create the scoop for our neck hole. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn our work. And I've counted out how many I want on this side to leave a big enough gap for the neck. You don't want it too loose. Well, it depends on what size of neck hole you want. If you want a loose fitting one or like a snug one. I'm going to go into 12 spaces for mine because I feel like that'll be a good fit. So we're just going to continue the same pattern. So 2 double crochets in each space. So that's 12. Now we're just going to turn our work here. So we'll chain 3 and flip and do our 2 double crochets in each space. Depending on how low cut you want the neckline to be will depend how many rows you do up. I think I'm gonna do 8 rows for these. So that was my 8th row. Now I'm going to just chain 1, pull tight, and fasten this off. And now you're going to do the same on this side. So again, just go into our 12 spaces on this side, turn, and do the same amount of rows. Start with a slip knot. I'm just going to join in this corner with a slip stitch and then chain 3. And I've ended this side off with our chain 3 here or double crochet, so we'll do our 2 on this side. This chain counts as 1, and that'll be 2. Next space 2. And I'm just gonna do 8 more rows on this side, and then I'm gonna chain 1 and fasten off. So for our back side, we're gonna do exactly the same pattern until we get up to the shoulder part. So I've counted my stitches from the very top, from here to our first cluster that we did, and I have 50 altogether including these. So for my back side, I don't want it to come down as low. I'm going to, well, I've already done it, so I will have 48. I want two less rows than I have here. So this is 50, I want 48, and then I'm going to do 2 up so that it's also 50. For this back side, I had to, like for the first part we had 12 that we did here, but since this one I ended on the opposite row, I had to add just 1 double crochet here to make it the chain and then start, so I still have 12 up here so it matches the front. And then I ended it off with a single crochet all the way across, and that would be 24 stitches because I have 2 double crochets in each. Okay, so I want my slip knot. I want to be that first. I'm going to chain 3 for this one, so it matches on this side where I have that double crochet. I'm going to turn my work, and yeah, so this one I have my single crochet is facing up. This one will also be. So I'm just turning my work, going straight into this one, single crochet. I'm going to place the last single crochet in my chain 3 here. Now I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off. I've done my single crochets on one side of our front panel. I'm just going to add my single crochets to this side now. And that's 24. And then I'll just chain 1, pull tight. I'm going to fasten off here. You can tie these 2 together if you want, just to hold them in place. Now I want to sew our shoulders together. So I should both be facing with these out. I'm just going to take my yarn, so I have a bit of a tail on this one side, measure across so I can go back twice, and I'll cut that, put my yarn in my needle, and I'm going to start my first single crochet going through both loops. I'll do that on both sides. So I'll leave a bit of a tail there. I'm going to go over top and back through this one again. And then I'm going to go to the next stitches and go straight through both. Then go through this side. And into the last one here. Then I'm going to go over again. And then we are going to go back through, but this side will be going through the opposites. So I've gone through this side, so I want to make sure I'm going to be going through. So it'll probably be kind of zigzaggy until you go back through and even them out. Back through the last one. So that's what it should look like, and this will be the inside. On the outside, it will look like this. That's the seam. So do the same on your other side. Okay, so I've got my top sewn together, the shoulder parts here. Now we are going to get ready to sew up the side up. First, we're just going to go around the entire side in a single crochet. So we'll start with a slip knot, find our corner stitch, and just join it as a single crochet. Put one in each space and in this join here where this double crochet is. Just getting up to the top where we have our sewn shoulder. So we want to go into the top of this single crochet that we did. And then we're going to go into the single crochet on the other side. Okay, so I've gone along this whole side. Now we want to turn our work inside out. Just want to figure out where we're going to put our sleeve and sew up the rest of the side. I did put my sleeve on already for my other side. So I'm just gonna measure. I want them to be the same on both sides. So I did mine about 7 inches. Line these up from the top of our shoulder where it meets. I just want to measure about 7 inches on this side. We'll place a stitch marker there. And then I just want to count my stitches on this side and count them on this side as well. Make sure that they're the same, and then hook them both together and just start sewing them together the same way we did our shoulders. And then when you do the other side, you want to make sure it's also the same amount of stitches so your sleeve will be the same. So I'm just going to count my stitches, line them up, and start sewing to my stitch marker. So I've gotten this side sewed up here. Got our little armhole. Let's turn our work right side up. For the arm, I went around with single crochets all on the outside. So we'll start with a slip knot. I'm just gonna start to the side of this here, our shoulder. So we get into here, I'm just going to place the single crochet on this side and the one on this side. Did our last single crochet, and then we will join to our first stitch with a slip stitch. And we're going to chain 3 and place a double crochet also in that stitch. Then we are going to skip 1 and then place 2 double crochet in the next stitch. Skip 1, 2 double crochet. And just keep doing that all the way around. And if you're working on your second sleeve, do your 1 row. Do this 1 row and then count to make sure you have the same amount on this side. On my first sleeve, I have 25 of these clusters. This one, I'm just on my 23rd. I'm about a stitch short for 25, so I'm just going to put the 2, so this is 24, and then I'm just going to put 25 right in the next stitch. So the rest of the way down it should be even. This one's just a stitch tighter. So now we're going to slip stitch in the top of the 3rd chain here. And then we'll chain 3 and place our double crochet into that space. And then we'll just keep doing this double crochet pattern until your sleeve is long enough. So make sure you're going into the spaces this time. We're not going into any stitches. And just make sure you join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 and then do your double crochet. Alright, so I've done 40 rows for my sleeve. And I've done the same on this side. Now we're going to be working on the cuff. So we're gonna wanna size down. I'm just going to size down to a size 5mm. So we've slip stitched to the beginning of this round here. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet and then single crochet 2 together. Single crochet, single crochet 2 together. And we're going to do this all the way around. If you want a tighter fitting cuff, you can just do single crochet 2 together, or you can space it out more if you want it looser. We're going to join into the top of this where we did our chain 1. And now we are going to chain, so this is going to determine how wide our cuff link is. I did this one, I chained 5, so it's 4 stitches along. So let's chain 5. You can make it longer if you'd like. And now I'm going to single crochet back down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch over, and I'm going to do that one more time for another stitch. So I've slip stitched in 2. I'm going to turn, and I'm just going to single crochet in each of the front loops. So technically this would be the back loop if we were working on this side, but it's going to be the one closest to us. That will be our front loop. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to turn back. Oops. And then we're going to single crochet in the front loop only again. We're going to do this all the way around. This first one's always a little tricky to get into. So it's 4, slip stitch into the next stitch over, 1, do another slip stitch, 2, then turn our work and go into our 4 stitches, or however many you did, front loops only. Just keep doing that until you get back to where we're going to join them. Alright, so we have a little stitch left in here, and I'm at the very top of this one. So we're gonna connect these two. So I want to go into the top of this beginning chain. Oops, we want our yarn to be underneath. And we'll go into the top or front loop of this other side. Then we're going to pull through that, pull through, and pull through the top. Then we're going to go into the next one of this chain, go into the front loop of this side, pull through, through. And we have one more to go into. So now we're going to just cut this off, but leave a long enough tail that we can weave this in. So let's pull that through. Take our needle. I just want to connect these ones. Sometimes if your top isn't looking great, you can just kind of go through and even up the top part. And then you can just cut the yarn off here. Pull it. And that's what it should look like. Then we'll have both sides done. And now we will be doing our neckline. It's going to be the same as how we did our cuffs, except I think I'm going to just do a chain 4 and then have 3 stitches along instead of chain 5 here. We'll size down again for this one. So we'll start with our slip knot. I'm just starting close on the back here. So that's where I want to end it. I'm going to go in there and do a single crochet. This one I don't want it to be as tight around the neck, so I'm going to do 2 single crochets and then 2 together. And just do that all around. These sides, you just kind of gotta work your way in them. Getting to my last stitch here, so I'm going to slip stitch into our first single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 4 and just do the same pattern down. Then when we get all the way around, we'll do the back up just the same as we did the cuff sleeves. And then we will be ready to work on the bottom of the sweater. So I got both sleeves done and finished my neckline. That's what I have for it. Now I'm going to do the bottom of the sweater. I'm going to go back to my 6mm hook just because I want it to be a looser fitting bottom. Start with a slip knot. And I'm just going to start close to our seam here. I'm just going to single crochet all across. I'm not going to do 2 together or anything. You can if you want a tighter fitting bottom, but I'm not going to for this one. I think I'm going to start mine with the dark. Switch to the dark for the bottom. Once you get to your seam, you can just put, make sure you're in a loop there. And just yarn over, do your single crochet. And then go into the next one here. Back at the beginning here, now I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to this first single crochet we did. And you can leave it off just like that if you'd like, or you can add more rows. I think I'm going to do just one more row. You can add as many as you want, so we'll chain 1 and then we'll single crochet into that and continue to single crochet around. If you're not doing an extra row, just fasten off and we'll work on tucking in all our strings. So now we're just going to weave in all of our ends. When you go to do your ends, you want to make sure you're tucking them all in on the inside. So if you have a couple hanging out like I do, just make sure to tuck them in before you do. You just don't want to have them poking out from the outside if they do happen to. So once you get everything, all the strings tucked away, then our sweater is done. So it should be looking like this. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any comments down below if you have any questions.